Hey, welcome everybody. Man, do I love that intro. I'm David Zier of Real America's Voice News, and I'm here with Steve Levy here, former New York State Assemblyman, former Suffolk County Executive, writer, going to be in the Washington Times next week. We're here at the amazing, the America First Warehouse, the inspiration of Joe the Box, his family, his crew. Thank you for giving us this format. This place is spectacular. If you haven't checked it out yet, go to the AmericaFirstWarehouse.com. So much going on out there. If you blink for a minute, you missed 8 stories. Steve, how are you?
I'm doing great, David. You know, we really need a daily because weekly, there's too much stuff packed in, but let's get rolling. Let's get right to it.
Yeah. So much going on here, and I got Steve, I think your mic might be off here. We got you. All right. Yeah.
Much better, right?
Okay. So, yeah, Steve, we were saying there's so much in the news cycle, and you were saying we need a daily format. It's in the works. I want to thank everyone for joining us. We got a tremendous amount of views on X, on the X platform last week. So great. I want to thank the production crew here.
Yeah, absolutely.
We got Martin and Adam and
they do an
Dan,
awesome job,
and everybody here just do a great job here.
And we just started, and we got all these clicks. I'm telling you, Clay and Buck better watch out because we're on the move.
Yeah,
it's fun.
Similar time.
You know, I wanted to open up because when we sent out a notice to some of our fans who watch the show, tune in today. There's something I really wanted to talk about. It's an article that I'll have published in the Washington Times next week, and we could talk about a lot of SCOTUS decisions, Supreme Court, including the injunction, which is really big. But there was another one that kind of like went under the radar a bit, and I want to talk about it. It's a really big decision with profound consequences. The Supreme Court a couple of weeks ago ruled that the president has the authority to ship illegal aliens to a country, third party country, other than the ones from when they came. Why is that important? Well, I've written a great deal on this subject, and you know, we had in 1996 the Expedited Removal Act, the Immigration Reform Act. It was designed to say, hey, you came over the border, we know you're here illegally, we're just turning your butt around and you're out of here, all right? And we can use that. Biden totally ignored it. President Trump said, yeah, we're going to use it, and it's starting to have its impact. But what did the illegal immigration lobby do, David? They knew they had a loophole by saying, just claim asylum, and Biden and his friends will keep you here for years.
Yeah, so now that doesn't apply because they could just send them to another country that they weren't persecuted in, right?
Exactly. So even though we thought they were contorting the law and trying to gum up the works with all these bogus asylum claims, and he put in, 10, 20 million people, and they're all claiming asylum, it'll take you 10 years before your case is heard, right? Not anymore. This decision now allows, Stephen Miller and the Homeland Security Group and the Department of Justice say, oh, you're claiming asylum? Oh, well, it doesn't matter. We're not sending you back to El Salvador where the gangs will get you. We're going to send you to Guatemala. We'll send you to Greenland. We'll send you to any other of these countries. And you can't complain that you have fear of being murdered by those you left behind in your homeland. Game changer. It's going to be huge. So look out for that one. And catch my article at the Washington Times next week.
Well, we look forward to that. And it's an extraordinary week here. 2 weeks ago, I got to cover the White House for Real America's Voice News. Brian Glenn was away, and he's our chief White House correspondent. It was during the bombing of Iran. It was just such a momentous and incredible week. And since then, Trump has scored victory after victory, with the injunction issue in the Supreme Court. And now the bill on its way to Congress, to be signed. About 85% of the original House stuff made it to the end.
Yeah.
And we can go over that in the next block, all the different components here. But there were a lot of things that were in there that are really critical and good, like no tax on tips, no tax on overtimes, no tax on, I think, parts of your Social Security, writing off car leases and deductions, and getting rid of Medicaid fraud. That's a big
If
deal.
we can get it through with that damn parliamentarian
Yeah.
who's trying to block it, of course, you hit it. The Republicans are trying to say, we're not throwing little old ladies or little kids off of
No,
Medicaid.
It's a myth.
We're saying, if you're an able-bodied adult with no dependents, you have to go to work. Ooh, a whole 20 hours, and that's too much to
and people
ask.
like-
And the illegals, get them off.
Yeah, and people like Lisa Murkowski, along with even Josh
Right.
Hawley, who was opposed to the bill based on Medicaid maybe shortfalls in his opinion.
Oh, they're falling
But-
for the talking points of the
but-
Dems. Drives me crazy.
But there's money that was in there that is going to double the amount for rural assistance because problems like even in Iowa, right? Trump will be in Iowa tomorrow for the 250th anniversary of the United States Declaration of Independence. The 1 year timer has started, towards that big celebration next week. But I spent a lot of time in Iowa on the road. I spent well over a month there and for Real America's Voice News over the years, and the Iowa caucuses. And they have a situation where, they don't have enough hospitals with baby units in it, prenatal units in it, because a lot of kids get educated there and they go to other states and never come home
It's a
again.
brain drain.
But there's states like Alaska and there's other states where there was concerns that rural areas couldn't get certain hospital services and stuff. But that's been addressed in the bill. So little old ladies are not being pushed over the cliff. You have to work 80 hours a month. And
Oh,
it
my
doesn't have
God.
to be
A
a job.
month, not a week.
It doesn't have to be a job. It just, you could
you could volunteer. You could say,
Right.
I'm looking for a job. You could be in school.
That
Oh, the
reminds me-
pampering. It's disgusting.
history of the world, and it's like when Mel Brooks in ancient Rome went to the unemployment office and Maud was at the counter and she's like, "What do you do?" He said, "I'm a stand-up philosopher." She said, "Oh, you're a bull S artist, right?" And
Hey, let us give you another student loan for that, by the way.
and she's like, "Well, did you BS this week?" He said, "No." She's like, "Did you try to BS this week?" He said, "Yes." He goes, "Okay, here's your check."
And these were liberals in Hollywood admitting that, right? But other parts of the big bill, which are really important, let's not forget, it's a continuation of the tax cuts from 2017. So important. I can't stand it when the media and the Democrats, one and the same, sorry for being redundant, claim that it's a bill to give billionaires a tax cut. This was across-the-board tax cuts from every socioeconomic level. And it was the working and middle-class folks, David, that saw a $2,000 reduction in their tax level. If something is not done, those tax cuts expire.
Oh, it's
and
over.
you, Miss Middle Class woman, you, Mr. Working Class fellow, get prepared to dig into your pocket for another $2,000. We've got to get that extended, and don't buy the garbage, or it's going to lead to the deficit. There's a deficit, but it's because of more spending. When you cut taxes, as they did with Kennedy, as they did with Reagan, you get more money into the coffers, not less. So we really, really need that to pass. I will say this, though. I do agree with Elon Musk that there's too much spending in this bill. All right, pass
doubt.
this bill, then let's get a part two that starts to carve down on this spending. We're still at $7 trillion. It can't be the new normal. No
They
way.
got another CR coming. Congress. So
Right.
there's there's a lot of games going on there, and I agree on the spending side. We got to get a handle on it. But there's also at the same time like $1.6 trillion in savings, compared to what was originally
But
going to happen.
a few years before COVID, the level of spending in the federal government was $4.5 trillion. And we thought that was a lot of money.
Yeah.
Then COVID comes along. Okay, you have an emergency situation, so it goes way up. But it's supposed to come way down, like after World War II. It went way up during World War II, then it came way down. Here, what they did is they made it way up in COVID, and they kept it up. It's got to come down to something more reasonable, right?
Yeah, and we'll see what happens today and tomorrow. Even if they don't get this thing done by the 4th of July. It's still going to happen in a week or two, probably following it. But, we had major transportation problems. I had crew at Real America's Voice News who were flying out to Iowa, multiple production staff, and they were like thousands of flights canceled. Our aviation system is such a mess. The weather's been really bad, though, from Washington, D.C., and, all the way up. So congressmen have not been able to get back to the Capitol. There's even congressmen driving from California, Illinois, down, and they're getting there to get in place to do something here.
If it's Democrats, it won't matter. They're an automatic no anyway. There will not be a single Democrat on either the Senate or the House who votes for this bill.
I'm concerned about the midterms. I have comprehensive coverage coming up in the next few weeks on the important races out there, and it's really going to be a challenge.
But traditionally, you're going to get clobbered, usually, if you're the party in power. But if you do something and you want to effectuate change that's going to have a positive impact on the public, you have to do it with enough time so you can actually experience the benefits. That's why they have to pass something now.
If there's a point and a half interest rate cuts by next January, right, let's say, hypothetically, it's going to propel the economy like a rocket ship. We don't have inflation right now. People can't wait anymore. People are getting hammered. And then with that little oil spike because of the 12-day war, now it's back down to $65 a barrel. We have a very exciting time coming, I think, for our economy. It's still going to take another 6 months to a year. But remember, in Trump's first term, it didn't happen until 2019.
Same with Reagan. It takes a while.
I want to thank everybody for joining us right now on the Right Side podcast, live from the America First Warehouse. Check it out. Tell your friends about it. I'm here with Steve Levy, and we'll be back in a few minutes. Thanks for joining us.
I told you this was crazy. I'm out of here.
No dice. Free stuff for all. I have to be such a downer.
For you, bow to the master staff. Come to me.
Oh my god, this guy's from Jersey!
Hi, how you doing? Fuck up my stage.
I'm pretty sure I'm a woman.
No, you're not, Steve. Oh! Oh!
Wet on my side. Now instead of a poke, you're getting a smack!
What have I done?
My name is Elena Ruseva, aka Megalangela. Please check my art at www.megalangela.vip.
It's me, Joe the Box, the America First Warehouse. No, it's the America First Motor Club here in Ronkonkoma, 93rd Avenue. Sunday morning, we're opening up 9 a.m. Beautiful artwork from Nelson Medina. We just passed him over there. We're coming in Sunday at 9 a.m. hot. We're going to raise some money for our veterans. The event is free. You make some donations, buy a hamburger. There will be food, plenty of it. We love this country. Congratulations, President Trump. Congratulations to our country. One nation, under God. Sunday morning.
Are you a musician, comedian, actor, filmmaker, or artist who stands for traditional American values? Do you believe in the preservation of our nation, our culture, and our freedoms? If you share our passion for America and want to use your talents to make a difference, we want to hear from you. Our mission is clear. Through the arts, we uphold the principles of freedom, faith, family, and the American spirit. It's time to step up to the mic and make your voices heard. So contact us at AmericanConservativeArtists.com.
America First Warehouse was really the most patriotic venue that you can ever imagine. We wanted to build something for people to be able to come to and feel so comfortable and so relaxed, because there is nothing out there like it. We give an opportunity for people to really feel good about themselves and about this great country.
Hey guys, welcome back. You're watching On the Right Side. We're at the America First Warehouse here. I have my co-host, Steve Levy, former New York State Assemblyman, former Suffolk County Executive, fierce campaigner, was ahead on the illegal immigration stuff 20 years ago here in New York. And we have a great show for you today. So much going on. I'm David Zier with Real America's Voice News, and it has been a whirlwind, from covering the New York City protests to being on the ground at the White House during the Iran bombing, and at Trump Tower for the Trump mobile phone system launch a couple of weeks ago, and being there for the 250th Army Parade. It's nonstop. Trump keeps everybody's head on a swivel. But the New York City mayor's race, it's a big mess. It's a big mess, and this is a bellwether for the rest of the country, because New York City will become another Portland under Mamdani. And he's a real threat. And like Margaret Thatcher said, the only bad thing about socialism is eventually you run out of other people's money, right? And there's a lot of dynamics here. You got Trump, who kind of let Adams go on the indictments and kind of whipped them into shape, doing a better job, has a great police commissioner now. But remember, Adams' police commissioner resigned in shame, helping his brother out, protecting restaurants. He had the police sex scandal. He had all kinds of stuff. He had about a third of his staff resign.
And he was the guy originally waving in all the immigrants. Come on in, we love you. We're the city of immigrants.
But he's done a 180 on it.
Oh, he totally has.
He's got Trump support. But, Curtis Sliwa, who is the heart and soul of New York City, it's created a schism.
Who is the Republican candidate?
He's the Republican candidate, all 5 boroughs of New York City. Yeah. And Curtis Sliwa got 28% last time in the last race. He can win with 32 to 35% in a 4-way race. He can win through plurality, but he doesn't have Trump support. He's been very critical of Trump over the years, but he's leaving the relationship open with Trump and said he would, deal with him. And I think he does like Trump deep down.
Well, he would unquestionably be the best mayor for New York, Curtis Sliwa. Because the others are so bad. I've done Curtis's. He's the guardian angel for you guys out there who are trying to think out who this is. He's the guy who always wears the red beret. He's been involved in New York politics forever. Has a number of radio shows. I've been on them. He's a great guy. He'd be a great mayor. Michael Goodwin from the New York Post wrote an article, though. He's a real go-to guy on local politics, and noted that it looks like from the polling, Curtis, despite the fact he'd be the best mayor by far, he's coming in very low in single digits right now.
Right now. If
he got money, he could change, and I'd love to see him be the guy. But if not, you got to coalesce around one person to be the anti-Zorhan
So Goodwin,
candidate.
who's a conservative, is saying that Cuomo would be the best choice, because you can't have Mamdani in there. You can't have Mamdani in there no matter what. I have some fun facts about Mamdani. Yeah. Not only does he have openly racist policies saying he's going to punish white neighborhoods, but New York City is going to lose another $1 trillion to $2 trillion on top of the $1 trillion they lost already from investment in there. We've got John Katzimatidis, who's been in business for 120 years with Gristedes and owns WABC
That's supermarkets.
Radio Empire, will be pulling out of New York. Free markets tossed out the window. Mamdani supported defund the police. He won't announce.
And he says he's doing it again. He wants to do it again.
Yeah, and he won't announce the global intifada. He supports the BDS movement. He wants government grocery stores. He wants to build 200,000 units of affordable housing, which is just a repeat of the HUD mess. It's not like Giuliani's private sector partnership with the government, and I can go into that another time because I was involved with that, where Giuliani gave home ownership opportunities to hundreds of thousands of New Yorkers. He wants a $30 an hour minimum wage.
$30
Mamdani, right?
And there's a lot of people out there say, "Oh, that's great. I'll be making $30 an hour." Dollars an hour. No, you won't. You'll be earning it for 2 weeks, and then you're going to be fired because the owner can't afford it.
Because you got an automated teller.
Yeah, right.
So it comes out for a business owner at $30 an hour. It's better than the Oakland proposal, which was $50 an hour, which was $124,000 a year when you were done with all the matching funds, the unemployment insurance, the FICA match. It comes out to $72,000 a year per employee to a small business owner for dipping French fries into a fryer.
This guy's so crazy. I mean, he's not just talking about freezing rents, where even with rent control, you allow the owner to get something to put back into the building for repairs. He just wants to freeze. So we had this big TikTok video where it says, I'm going to freeze your rent, and when jumping into the cold waters on a polar bear day, right? And you got a lot of these young, naive idiots, you know,
got a
saying,
massive
oh,
movement.
boy. But they're so dumb because they believe it.
And it's all the dumb white kids.
Yeah. The well-off, privileged white kids. But for those of you who don't know what it was like in the 1970s and 80s in New York City, okay?
Yeah.
I grew up in New York City till I was 10, then went to the suburbs, but went in all the time with my dad who had a store, okay? I saw how New York City got burnt down to the ground figuratively and literally,
Yeah.
okay? But I had an uncle who owned an apartment house. He let it go. There were so many regulations and freezes. He couldn't afford to keep it. He and thousands of others, the South Bronx and parts of Brooklyn and different parts of the
War
city
zone.
looked like Dresden.
You'll never forget.
After the bombings in World War II.
Yeah.
Dilapidated, horrible. They finally ditched those crazy laws. Giuliani comes in, they revitalized the city. It was the greatest place in the world to be. And
Yeah.
de Blasio comes in, and it's becoming a hellhole again.
Yeah, and Giuliani did it through a partnership with Kathy Wilde, who was a Democrat with the New York City Housing Partnership, adopting Jack Kemp's enterprise zone strategy to give people home ownership and title to clean up their neighborhoods, because in a HUD rental project, you're never cleaning it up. You need to give someone pride and deed to a property. But Mamdani's plan is going to freeze rents on 1 million privately owned apartments here. Now, and they're going to be unfixable, these apartments, because there won't be any redevelopment into them. And they're losing money already because they haven't been able to, because the Rent Stabilization Board raised rents enough to keep up with inflation.
Hey, you're a real estate attorney on the commercial side, so you get it more than anybody else.
Yeah, it's not it's not as easy as, oh, you can't afford rent in New York City and all the landlords are greedy. Well, if New York taxes weren't so high, if New York didn't have a $254 billion budget, twice the size of Texas and Florida's combined, and there's 30 million more people in those states, you would be able to, make some money when you have these rent-controlled apartments. It's going to be an unmitigated disaster. But the worst part, he's got a massive social media effort. And I'll end it on this. Obama filled up OSU with like 90,000 students because he had this incredible social media campaign. Mamdani's got that. He's got it. Labor unions are lining up by the thousands, the members behind Mamdani, because they know they're going to get work out of it. And, and he's defund the police. So this is a disaster. We can't let it happen. And I know there's been a lot of workings in the background between, supporting Adams over Sliwa and stuff like that. But they got to get this right.
They got to do something. But you have to stop. You can't even say socialist. I use the word Marxist a lot, but Trump got it right. This guy is a communist. And people have often asked me, a lot of my friends, Steve, what's the thing you fear most about America today? And you might think I'd say, foreign entanglements or the debt, which is really, really scary. But I've been saying, and they thought I was nuts, and the takeover of Marxism within our country. I said, what are you talking about? And I said, well, hear me out. You now have the head of the 3 largest cities in New York. 2 of them are now Marxists. A third one might be a Marxist. We're talking about Chicago. They went from the horrible Lori Lightfoot to an avowed Marxist in Brendan Johnson. 8% approval rating.
Even Brandon Johnson rejected the government-owned grocery stores for Chicago.
He's Ronald Reagan compared to Zoran
and he's
Mandani.
dumber than salt.
You have Karen Bass over in Los Angeles, a Marxist who emulates Cuba. Okay, it's like the indoctrination of the Marxist professors. This is the generation where it is taking hold. The New York City Council, they have Marxists everywhere. The New York State Assembly, which is where Mamdani comes from, okay, he is a Marxist. It is serious, serious stuff. And we have to wake up and fight it accordingly. It is so bad that we might have to hold our nose and vote for a Cuomo who destroyed New York
and killed
just to make sure it doesn't get worse.
You know, there's new polling data that show that Cuomo has more support in the black community than Mayor Adams does. Go figure that. Who's the head of 100 black
He beat
members of law
Zorhan
enforcement.
with the black vote and the Hispanic vote. But you're right. It's the white privileged kids who were voting for Zorhan, along with the Upper West Side wealthier white folk.
Yeah, well, they step over the bodies on the way to Starbucks. They hid in the Hamptons during COVID. They don't care that there's no buzz in New York City anymore. And like Curtis Lee told me, there's no Bridge and Tunnel crowd. The Limelight, the Red Parrot, the Tunnel, all the hot clubs are gone in the city. The girls don't go out. There's no 24-hour restaurants and diners anymore. It's a different vibe. Congestion pricing has cleared out Lower Manhattan. There already
become San Francisco.
Traffic.
Yeah, we became San Francisco.
It's
you know,
we're getting.
Zorhan will bring us over the edge and really make us San Francisco. And believe it or not, even San Francisco has said we had enough, and they're starting to turn the tide a little bit. They got rid of their crazy let them out prosecutor and got a decent prosecutor there. They have a new mayor who's a little more sensible, trying to deal with the homeless. So they're starting to maybe go in a better direction. And here in New York, they're saying, no, let's emulate that.
They still have a rainbow flag police car.
Yeah, okay.
So that's, I don't know about quick change coming. But so we've never had a mayor in New York City so far out of the mainstream. Even Democrats are scared.
Yeah, and you know, where are the moderate Democrats? They're scared. They're scared, and this is proof positive to them that if I try to attack these crazies, they're going to come after me, and I'm going to lose a primary. And you've got Jewish lawmakers like Schumer and Nadler saying, "Hey, I'm going to support the guy who wants to kill me." It's unbelievable.
No, they're reprehensible individuals, and I want to welcome everybody to the show today. On the right side, we have another great block, action-packed, info-packed. Here with Steve Levy. I'm David Zier, Real America's Voice News. We're coming to you live from the America First Warehouse, and we'll be back in a minute.
The Queens Village Republican Club is America's oldest Republican club, founded in 1875. Situated in President Trump's hometown in Queens, New York, we are America First MAGA Republicans, empowering fellow Republicans to get involved in the game of politics at the grassroots level. We host inspiring monthly club meetings on the first Thursday of each month at 8 p.m. For more information, please go to our website at www.qvgop.org.
Corporate transfer, fine professional, moving and storage, and inventory management.
The dehumanizing rhetoric of Adolf Hitler. Donald Trump's language mirrors this directly.
Well, Hitler was duly elected.
Let's deal with Hitler, okay?
I don't think it's hyperbolic to say that is Mussolini Hitler-like language.
You say Nazi enough times, someone's going to actually have the guts to do it.
Donald Trump would invoke Adolf Hitler.
What percentage of this event happening was due to Donald Trump's rhetoric?
Don't miss Trump next time.
What do you make of the excess deaths?
None of us, not the president, not those hypothetical guys in the smoky rooms, fully know what's going on, but we can speak about the unfolding of recent history with certainty.
Donald Trump is an existential threat to our democracy.
That is not how it works. That is a threat to democracy.
No. No. You anti-Semitic piece of...
When you make it difficult for people in their lives, they lose their ideological bullshit.
Free fries when you get vaccinated? Vaccination.
The Right Side Podcast, coming to you from Long Island, New York, in the America First Warehouse. Guys, if you haven't been here, your next trip to New York, you got to come out. It's about an hour east of Manhattan without traffic. And it will blow your mind. It is a museum to real Americans here. And thank you to Joe the Box, who is our proprietor and the guy who makes this all happen. I'm here with David Zare, who's a host of Real America Voice. I'm Steve Levy, your co-host. I was a former Suffolk County executive, New York State Assemblyman. I'm the president and executive director of the think tank Center for Cost-Effective Government, author, Solutions to America's Problems. And David, in this round here, I want to talk about something I mentioned in my book and also an article that I have being circulated around right now. It's controversial, but it's talking about the illegal immigration matter. And I think President Trump is right on the mark, doing what he's doing, amazing work in closing off the border. But I've got a concern that there are a lot of people out there, even Republicans, who are starting to fold and say, well, maybe we'll just go after those who are here illegally, who've committed crimes. And if you've been here and you haven't committed a crime, all right, you'll get a pass. I think that's very dangerous, and I've got 5 reasons for it. I'm going to rattle them off real fast. 1, it's unfair. You got 5-10 million people who have been waiting online for years to get in here, and if we just tell those people who came in here illegally, cut the line, it's just wrong. Secondly, messages matter when it comes to illegal immigration. When you send a message that even now that you can come from other places, stay here with your nose clean for a while, and then we'll let you stay, and then maybe give you a path to citizenship or whatever, work papers. Bad message, it means more come. Third, it violates the social contract. The social contract is we as the governed tell those who govern us, treat us fairly, treat us with respect, give us security, and we'll sacrifice some of our freedoms. But when we see people jumping the turnstiles and no one is enforcing it, we say, why the hell am I paying the fare? Number 4, it's the risk you take when you come here illegally, that you always know and should know that at any time someone can get you and say, goodbye, you have to go. And 5th, and finally, Americans will do the job. When they say Americans won't do these jobs, well, maybe they don't want to do it for these subpar wages, okay? So we've got 7 million able-bodied men without dependents who don't work anymore. If an illegal alien is kicked out, make them work or cut off their welfare. You have those 4 million people waiting online. This one leaves, take one of them, say, hey, you worked the farm. You worked in the hospitality system, etc. So I'm not saying we have to do raids every day against those people, but you can't say that if you've been here for a while, 2, 3, 4 years, and you haven't committed another crime, don't worry, you'll never be deported. Dangerous, dangerous message.
And young people, you can't bring your phone into the lettuce fields, all right? You can't go on TikTok while you're picking lettuce. No, but listen, Trump has had such an extraordinary week with Alligator Alcatraz yesterday. We had our very own Brian Glenn on the ground alongside the president, and you know he really likes Brian Glenn, and it was just an exceptional day there. You know, they got this prison they built in 8 weeks' time that can hold up to
leave it to Florida. They rebuilt a bridge in 3 days.
Yeah, and it's Florida, you know, can do it. But Trump has done done significant things, and as Ben Berquam from Real America's Voice News reported this morning here, he was in Houston, and he's covering the border, and on the deportation flights, they let him on the flights with Tom Homan. Unbelievable, interviewing illegals as they're being shipped out. But Trump has designated these national defense areas, which it's in New Mexico, 170-mile stretch of federal land designated in April, serving as an extension of Fort Huachuca. And in Texas, there's a 63-mile stretch of land. Now, what this does is it changes the rules of engagement, because, you can't deploy armed military at the border on the U.S. side. But if they become a threat to these areas designated as it allows us to protect our country even further, but nobody's coming in. Nobody's coming in.
It's because of the messaging.
How many lives has Donald Trump saved at the border already so far this year?
Women and children who've been trafficked.
Women
and
sex
trade, absolutely.
It's just exceptional, and he's not getting the credit. And even wages are up, and they think it might have something to do already in the United States with illegals.
Self-deporting. No coincidence. No coincidence. 1 million people, they claim, I don't know how they prove that, have self-deported. And the last few months, wages have been up significantly. Coincidence? I think not. And there was a time when Bernie Sanders was saying you can't have illegal immigration because it suppresses wages on the working class.
And Hillary, and the whole bunch.
But this Alligator Alley thing I want to talk about?
Yeah, what do you got?
I'm glad that they're doing this in the sense that you need the space to detain people while they're awaiting their stuff.
Yeah.
But, I got to be honest with you. Some people might be mad at me on this. I don't like some of the over-the-top rhetoric that seems a little punitive, like, oh, we got the alligators and they're gonna bite your butt if you leave. Most of these people are not bad people.
Florida,
they're doing the wrong thing by coming illegally, but they're not bad people.
No, well, that's not what this is designed for. And in Florida, 20% of the nation's deportations are happening in Florida alone, and they're going after the criminals first, and they're getting warrants for criminals, people who have not only broken the law by coming into the United States, but have done other crimes.
Nasty
and
stuff.
We got a problem.
Rape, murder.
How do you deport 12 million people, right? And it's going to be a long road. It's going to be a long haul. And all these people who've been invited in under the Biden administration to change the census so that Congress would stay blue or go blue again. And, that's a real problematic thing here. But Trump had a big victory, right, with the Venezuela, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Cuba. They got to choose their flights to come into their destination of their choosing in the United States while
that was
drinking
Biden's
a scotch.
Totally illegal.
A scotch on the rocks.
Right,
not just CPP-1, but this program for these 4 countries. Trump has permission to get rid of 500,000 plus, I think, that came in this way.
Well, just in case people don't know, Joe Biden, who wanted all these people coming in here, he just out of thin air said, I'm now going to create this app for you people in these 4 specific countries. Will you just tell us you want to come? We'll fly you over and you can come here. And Joe Biden, will say that you're now legally here. And Trump comes in and said, there was no congressional authorization making these people legal. You illegally allowed them in. I'm now going to kick them out. And he's been allowed to do so. Though there was just something today, 3 o'clock in the morning, where a judge says, as to Haiti, you can't send them back because Haiti is such a dangerous place that you can't send them back. That'll be appealed, et cetera, et cetera. But, of all the illegal aliens who are here, the ones I actually have the most sympathy for are those people, because you had Biden saying, come on in, you could legally stay. They do, and now they're saying you can't. But that's the price you pay, because it was an illegal action, and Trump is right saying, we can't bring you guys in here and take care of you.
It's estimated that 2 million illegals got Social Security numbers at the border. So it's
and voter registration forms.
It's a tough problem to unwind. It's going to be very challenging to Trump past a certain point, and the optics next year for the midterms. The Democrats are going to play every video in the world. So they really got to be smart how they do this going forward. But right now they're getting getting warrants for every single person they're detaining, and they are targeting and focusing on things. So last week in California, there was I think a 13-year-old boy murdered, and the LA Times, I think it was, had an article referring to the illegal alien murderer who killed the kid through inebriation of liquor and sexually assaulted the kid, murders the kid. They talk about him as a youth soccer coach 4 times in the article. Meanwhile, he's an illegal animal from El Salvador.
Like the Maryland dad, Abrego Garcia, who was described as the Maryland dad, a guy who we now know was a career gangbanger.
Yeah.
You know, the media is disgusting on this stuff. And, you know, just keep moving forward. You know, if the Trump administration keeps doing that, people are going to see the difference, because the drain that this illegal immigration has had on local communities, from schools being overwhelmed, to emergency rooms being overwhelmed, to the criminal justice system being overwhelmed.
So I understand illegals won't be getting health care. Additional Medicaid under this new bill.
Hopefully, but we've got the Dawn parliamentarian, who is a person. This one was appointed by liberal Harry Reid way back when, and a lot of them think she's a partisan.
But
and she made the rule.
Of Thune. Why didn't he take action earlier?
Yeah, well, they still can. They can boot her or overrule her, but she made the ridiculous decision that, well, cutting off the money to illegal aliens on Medicaid is not budgetary in its aspects. Are you kidding? If that's not budgetary, what is? So again, there's another example of partisan Democrats trying to gum up the works, stopping the Republican majority from just implementing common sense, David.
Yeah. Well, Steve, you know, in the next block, we got a lot of really kind of fun stories, and we got a lot to discuss here. And by the way, Trump will be in Iowa on the ground. Real America's Voice News will be covering it for the kickoff of the 250th anniversary of America with signing the Declaration of Independence. It's like the countdown to next year, starting with Trump in Iowa. And what better place to do that?
Well, I'll tell you, he's got a lot to gloat about, because as we're wrapping up this particular segment, you even had the libs in some of the legacy media actually having to admit that this last week, maybe even the month, was the best week of Trump's administration, both administrations, and one of the best ever. And when we come back on the flip side, we're going to talk about all of these wins over the last week. So from peace breaking out all over to Supreme Court decisions and a stock market that's back to the highs that we had, you know, before the dip came about with the tariffs. So folks, stay tuned. We're going to have more fun in this last segment.
Corrupt judges, broken families, families torn apart. This isn't justice. If you've been wronged by the system, join us. Don't stand alone. Hi, I'm Gary Jacobs, president of Americans for Legal Reform. We're the oldest legal reform group in the United States. The justice system in the United States should be transparent, fair, and open to everybody and accessible. Unfortunately, many times that's not the case. At Americans for Legal Reform, we are here to help. Join the movement. Visit AmericansForLegalReform.com and help reform the system before it fails you.
The America First Ultra MAGA Store. For all your MAGA needs. We sell t-shirts, tumblers, flags, hats, sneakers, bumper stickers, and a whole lot more. The most patriotic America First retail store. The America First Ultra MAGA Store.
Welcome, everybody, to the Not So Newlywed Show, where 3 couples are going to compete for really great prizes. Okay, Donna, we asked Mike, who complained first on your honeymoon, you or him?
What do I think?
Yeah, what do you think?
I think he said...
Lisa, this ain't the SATs. Just tell us what... Donna, who complained first on the honeymoon?
I'm sure it was me, but I have no idea.
Donna is right.
No, it's always me.
What celebrity would you pick for a one-day pass?
For me?
Yeah, for you, not for him.
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon! Wow! Who do you hate the most on her side? That rotten no.
There's so many choices.
Thank you all, and thank you for coming out.
Hi, my name is Elena Ruseva, aka Megalangela. Please check my art at www.megalangela.vip.
America First Warehouse was really the most patriotic venue that you can ever imagine. We wanted to build something for people to be able to come to and feel so comfortable and so relaxed, because there is nothing out there like it. We give an opportunity for people to really feel good about themselves and about this great country.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to On the Right Side podcast. I'm your host, Steve Levy, the president and executive director of the think tank, the Center for Cost-Effective Government, former New York State Assemblyman and county executive, and also an author on Newsmax Insider. And my amazing co-host is David Zare, who has his own show and is a reporter for Real America's Voice. And David, we have one more session here to go. We're talking about so many things that happened over the last week, but I mentioned at the end of the last segment how what an incredible week it was for Trump. It was like the wins just kept piling up. I mean, we started with the SCOTUS decision that took away the ability of these rogue judges who were forum shopped to put a national injunction in and basically undo federal policy, executive decision policy. We have he brokered peace in the Congo and Rwanda. They've been fighting for 30 years, and nobody even mentions it, among other things.
The media's trying to make it like Trump had nothing to do with it. And then you got the guy from Congo saying, no, absolutely, he did, in the Oval Office saying it. And the same with India, Pakistan.
Right,
India, Modi was saying, oh, Trump didn't do anything. But Pakistan's like, what are you talking about? You know, he did.
Yeah, I mean, two nuclear-armed countries, you know, nose to nose, and he diffused it. We even have a 60-day ceasefire now with Israel and Hamas. I don't know what's going to happen with that.
Hamas hasn't accepted that one yet, but you know, they continue to hide troops within the civilian population. And a cafe was hit, and like 20 people were killed. And you know, it's giving ammo to the pro-Palestinian crowd here in the United States. And then you got Bob Villan, we can get into in a second, in England, who's denied a visa to the U.S. over this. But you know, the Hamas is hiding behind civilians.
Of course.
You know, and it's really a problem. You want to talk about Bob Villan quick?
Sure, but I just want to say, you know, when Iran throws its missiles into the air and it hits a hospital in Israel, right?
Yeah.
Boop, not a peep from the media, right? But Hamas hides themselves in the hospitals, in the schools, and, you know, Israel's trying to do whatever they can to weed them out. Oh, my God, you can't touch that hospital or the school.
Nobody's taken more precaution than the IDF.
Absolutely.
In the history of the world in combat to try to limit civilian casualties when they target these military targets. And it's just a fact. They go through this extensive process. But you know what? You know, they're not going to sit there and take rockets getting launched at them indiscriminately. So. And
then you get these nut job rappers. Death to the IDF? What's up with that?
Yeah, so Bob Villan, they're at this this concert in England the other day.
Not Bob Dylan, the old
no, Bob Villan.
Villan.
Actually,
appropriately named.
The rapper and his drummer are both named Bobby Villan. One is B-O-B-B-I-E and one is B-O-B-B-Y. So they can't be tracked by the government. They got this, you know, and the stuff they said was so outrageous, calling for the death of Israeli Defense Forces And Sky News had a great bit on this, and they were saying, yeah. And what did they say about the white kids in the audience? It was so funny. Basically, it was full of pasty white, self-loathing Brits in the audience cheering
They're
for
chanting
this guy.
it with them. They're
Yeah.
chanting with
So
him.
the
Death, death to the IDF. And you got, they're waving Palestinian flags, repeating this garbage.
Even Keir Starmer, the socialist prime minister of England, said it was appalling and making threats and inciting violence is not acceptable. But Tammy Bruce, a new State Department spokesman, said it bluntly. She said it's really about our standards and who we let in the country. So, there's a whole sea change on who we're letting in here on visa.
Right.
You can't come in here and
It's
hate
a privilege.
America, period. So
You don't have a right to be in here.
Yeah, these guys are losers, and a British punk rap duo denied entrance to the United States.
And this is what Marco Rubio is doing with all of the visas, the student visas. Good, if you're an American citizen, you have a right to say whatever you want, so long as you're not inciting violence. Okay, but you have these people coming over that we give them the privilege of enjoying the fruits of this wonderful nation. All we ask is that you don't engage in subversive activity like this guy at Columbia who decided he was going to help incite the mayhem that led to harassment of Jewish students.
You will not be safe as a Jew in New York City if Mamdani gets into office. This is probably the most horrific scenario that New York City has ever faced outside of 9/11.
David, you've got Jews in New York voting for this guy.
I know.
Not all of them, but a big number. What the hell is wrong with you?
No, because Jerry Nadler is not a human. He's the disgusting individual. And it's got to change, and we got to prevent that from happening at all costs. But there's a lot going on here. 60 Minutes. They got the president of CBS to resign, right? And everyone said, "Oh, she's taking responsibility for this story where they manipulated the Kamala Harris interview when Trump sued, just like he sued Stephanopoulos and ABC News, and he won a settlement from them." So Paramount is doing a deal with Skydance, who owns, it's an $8 billion merger, and who also owns CBS. And not only did Trump, because of the Trump effect, not only did they get rid of the president, but they settled with Trump for $16 million over this manipulation of this interview that could have influenced the outcome of the election.
It's interesting. The Stephanopoulos one, I think, was a slam dunk. A lot of the libs were angry with ABC settling on that, but they really had to, because Stephanopoulos claimed falsely that Trump was convicted of rape. That's not true. And he was warned. This is the key. He was warned beforehand not to say that. He ignored the warning and said it anyway. That, folks, is called malice. It's a very high standard to win on defamation, but they knew that Trump had them dead to rights. This one with 60 Minutes is a little tougher because you have to ask, where's the legal exposure? Certainly it's a moral exposure, and it's ridiculous that this so-called arbiter of truth, 60 Minutes, they were splicing and dicing to help her over Trump, to help her. They got caught. The question is, were they civilly liable for that? It's a close call, but you hit it on the head. They said, get rid of this. We got some deals coming down the pike. We don't need this clouding.
I think that merger was in jeopardy because Trump's in office. And
he shouldn't be tying the two, but you're not supposed to tie the two.
Whatever.
But they knew in the back of their mind they don't want to play those games. And they knew they were guilty of doing what they did.
They couldn't afford a stock hit. And if Trump came out publicly and started criticizing it, they couldn't afford the stock hit because then the transfer may have not gone through.
Well, more importantly, they don't want to get subpoenaed.
Yeah.
And when you depose these guys, that's what happened with Fox. I don't think Fox was liable on that Dominion case, with the election law stuff. They weren't, but they caved in and they gave the money. But you almost understand why.
That was probably the single most damaging thing in modern media history.
But it's easy for us to say don't. But when you know you're going to be hauled in and have to do all these depositions,
that allowed
all
Dominion
kinds of stuff happens.
To put gag orders on thousands of Americans who could not even discuss Dominion. It was really terrible.
True.
New poll, right? Gallup poll.
Okay.
Incredible. right? Democrats. In 2001, 87% of Democrats said they were extremely proud to be an American.
What year?
In 2001. And 90% of Republicans. 87% of Democrats.
87%.
In 2025, Gallup poll results, 36% of Democrats said they're extremely proud to be an American.
The Marxists are winning.
92%
The Marxists are winning.
of Republicans, though, went up 2 points for the Republicans.
Part of it is their orange man bad Trump derangement syndrome. But even without Trump, they were polling this way even in the Biden years because this generation has been so jaded by their Marxist professors and the media that continues to beat down on Western civilization and our values.
Yeah. Well, so Steve, we have a couple of minutes left. Where can people follow you and get involved?
So glad you asked. You can get me on stevelevy.info. You'll see all of my writings in the Washington Times, the Washington Examiner. I'm a Newsmax insider. Sometimes I have some articles in the New York Post way back when on Fox. And our Center for Cost-Effective Government, it's www.centerforcosteffectivegovernment.org. Our most recent white paper was on how to save Social Security. If we just had invested part of the Social Security Trust Fund in a Standard & Poor's index, we'd have trillions more today. It's not too late. We have to start. And we're going to come out with one on how Medicaid has ballooned way out of control.
Coming out?
It's probably coming out within the next month.
And where can people go and get that? Because it's really good.
Yeah, the Center for Cost-Effectivegovernment.org.
All right. Well, we got a jam-packed agenda going on all around here at the America First Warehouse tonight.
Where are you going to be?
Got Scott Lebedo coming to the America First Warehouse.
You don't know him. He's the amazing artist who does all this stuff here.
Just incredible. And go see go buy The Relentless Patriot. That was an incredible documentary. You know, we went around to 50 states all over the country and painted commercial rooftops. So when our troops, with the American flag, so when our troops got back from Afghanistan and Iraq, they would see that landing. Pretty extraordinary story. But tomorrow I have, on Saturday morning, Breaking Point at 8 a.m. And we've got some great stuff. I got David Argyle on, who's the CEO of Real Alloys, and the Russians have taken territory that's a big lithium deposit. It could affect the Zelensky-Trump deal that was signed in April. Wow. It's a key lithium deposit in Ukraine, and also China could hold up the production of our F-35s over rare earth stuff that we might need.
Which is why we must decouple. That's what I say in my book, Solutions to America's Problems.
From China, too. So we got a great show, and I got Dr. McConkey, who's running for Lieutenant Governor in North Carolina, and other stuff here. But you can follow me at Dave Zier on X, and David Zier on Facebook, on Getter, on Truth Social, and David W. Zier on Insta. You have closing thoughts? We got 30 seconds.
Yeah, well, you know, we wanted to get into that whole Leah Thomas thing where the Trump administration clamped down.
Stripping our titles.
Elections have consequences, David.
Yeah.
And, you know, on that note, you know, we're going to keep talking to you folks out there in our audience throughout America. There's so many things happening. Your vote does matter. That is one perfect example. So come up with us next time on the right side. You're going to learn a lot more about what's going on in our world. Thanks, folks. Be well.